Hello, everybody. This is adding ZAP to all your testing.
Hello, my name is Marcus, product owner for platform security and platform operations on HMRC's mdtp. So we like our acronyms. I think you're okay with HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, if you're not. mdtp is the multi-channel digital tax platform. As a product owner, I get to make the exciting choices about the sort of work that we're on and what we should be focusing on at any given time. As you can see from a bit of my tiny bio on there, it's quite sedate compared to some of the things I've done in the past. But anyway, we're the on mdtp, we're the ones who've spun up a number of services to provide COVID response for gov.uk safely. Two of those more high-profile ones were the job retention scheme and the self-employed income support scheme. So at one point, this involved our engineers working the majority of a 48-hour weekend at very short notice. When things got announced, we didn't necessarily know a lot more about it before everybody else did. But when we increase our pace, we think it's, well, it is important that there isn't a trade-off between the speed and security. No one's going to thank you for spinning up a service in 2 days if the trade-off is going to be putting all of your customers' details at risk. So I'd be lying if I said that that was the driver for ZAP testing. In fact, it's something that we've been using at HMRC for some time now. But we're now looking to do a number of things around it. So first of all, apply a bit more strategy to this to normalize it. So ensure ZAP is something that every service owner owns and is happy to own because they see the benefits of it, and ensure everybody understands the results they're seeing and how we can then hold mature conversations about that. We'll then hope that we can raise the profile of application security even further.
And hi, my name is Ongers. Three things you can take away from this very busy side is how to get hold of me, email, Twitter, GitHub. The fact that I've been involved in the community for a very long time, and that I've done this sort of work forever, or just about. On the commercial side, Secure Delivery is an AppSec-focused company. We want to move application security practices forward, meaningfully change how application security happens in the industry. We deliver assessments, guidance, training to some of the biggest, most innovative companies like HMRC. On the foundation side, you probably know most of this. However, ZAP is one of about 150 open source projects, including the top 10s. Yes, there's multiple top 10s now. ZAP itself, which is the world's best value for money DAS tool ever. Yes, I'm aware it's free, but it's also probably the best DAS tool out there. And Simon would definitely agree with me on that. We also cover things like OWASP SAM and ASVS, another two projects I use a great deal of, and Cornucopia, that I'm one of the co-leads for. And those are setting the standards for delivering software and the software that gets delivered. OWASP is also very much a community organization. We have conferences in many tech cities, chapters in every tech city, just about, probably one near you. And if there isn't one, probably time to start one. Now everything's online, of course, so attend remote chapter meetups as much as you like. And we have conferences, online and in person, hopefully more in person soon, where things are permissible.
Okay, so what's it all about then? Well, we're going to put this into context for HMRC, go through our intention, the implementation, and next steps. Now, many of which are still works in progress. One of our key principles in HMRC, and specifically for myself, mdtp, is coding in the open where possible. So we're very much in the habit of sharing what we're doing, and we hope to learn much from ZAPCon too.
This presentation, we're going to walk you through the steps that we took, where it started, the parts that we knew we would need to have, and then plugging it in, why we're not using the official Jenkins plugin, and the next steps for us. To start with, DAST obviously only forms a part of the AppSec program of work at HMRC. The usual gauntlet of SAS and SCA is, of course, supported by WAF for the web-facing sides. DAST is, of course, OWASP ZAP. We're also looking into things like IS and RASP, that's a conversation for another conference altogether.
Okay, so of course the tools themselves don't make the things better on their own. So there's two major activities that we're covering off. So first of all, putting all the HMRC developers through AppSec 101. So that's the newest publication from the OWASP Application Security Curriculum project. We've helped build that. And also then arranging workshops to help onboard the teams themselves.
Hopefully more on that later.
Now, to give you a little bit of context to mdtp, it's the platform basically that most of all digital HMRC services run on. So it provides some common services that you know and love, and platform security works on all the things in this area for security. The platform provides microservices that the services themselves use. One example of this is something called Upscan, which virus scans files that come through and then uploads them to their end destination. We also provide back-end services which support the teams that actually write the code. So it's not us doing the code itself, but we support the teams that do that, including, but not limited to, platform security, the team that I'm the product owner for.
So we knew that we needed to make this as easy as possible, both for ourselves as PlatSec, for us to be able to maintain and manage it, because we are seriously outnumbered by the wonderful individuals who are building all the services on the platform. But we also needed to make it easy for the service teams to adopt. As Marcus said, one of the things that mdtp pride themselves on is the ability to get services out the door rapidly. So delivery is very important. So we knew there needed to be at least 3 pieces to the puzzle. We needed a way to do some maintenance, to create and manage that Docker sidecar. Changes to new versions of ZAP, changes to the scanners, changes to the rules that go with the scanners. All of these things needed to be automated and done in with as little impact to the team as possible. We needed to be able to do some kind of management. So have some way for a team to interact with the ZAP proxy once it was up and running. Obviously, we're doing testing through the ZAP sidecar as if it was just a proxy. So we needed some way to start it and some way to stop it. We needed to be able to turn on and off various plugins. We need to be able to get the reports out. And we need to exclude some false positives, because despite DAST being the best way of getting some results out, there will always be some things that we are prepared to ignore at certain parts of the process. And then finally, we needed a way for service teams to actually plug this into their pipelines. And that needed to be as seamless and as easy as possible. Now we have a library that HMRC has opened up for public use, and that's the Jenkins Job Builders project. I'll talk a little bit about that just now. So it starts with a base ZAP Docker image, which we just grabbed literally from the ZAP to Docker stable edition, whatever the ZAP version is, because right now that's 2.10. And then we add in the plugins that we want, and then we use this script that you see on the right-hand side to effectively launch ZAP within that Docker sidecar. And as you can see over here, we have a section of looping through some scripts in that sidecar that we may add to the sidecar, things to do with what we want to do at the end of running ZAP. So once we finish all our testing, we need to grab the artifacts that are necessary and ensure that those are archived and they're available to teams who are going to be reviewing the build afterwards. So that loops through there and it does what it needs to do. The client itself started out as a basic Python script, like most things that security teams build. We knew we needed to be able to start and stop ZAP through the API, because there's no other way to interface with it once it's spun up as a sidecar. And we knew that stopping it in a gentle way, rather than just killing the sidecar, was important, because that would trigger our ability to do the post-processing tasks, like gathering the reports. And we knew that we needed to actually download the report to the sidecar before we did anything else. We needed to get the report downloaded into Jenkins, into the Jenkins instance, before we did anything else. However, in true evolutionary development style, we discovered and added a bunch of more features. And this is literally just the argparse section of the client file. And you can see that we have added the abilities to get which URLs were actually proxied through ZAP. So we can make sure that we have covered all the things, all the pathways that we intended to cover in part of the test suite. We've added the ability to manage the scanners, turning scanners on or off based on a list of scanners that the team passes into the testing. We need to be able to filter out endpoint error combinations, as I said before. So a way to manage the alerts that come through. And we need to be able to allow the build to fail based on alerts from a certain level. So there's an argument there for fail on, which allows you to fail on any info, low, medium, or high findings that ZAP might have. So why don't we just simply use the official Jenkins plugin? Well, firstly, because it's not officially supported anymore. And that's why. But secondly, and probably more importantly, because we have an HMRC free and open source project, which this is the Jenkins Job Builder, and it allows us to programmatically create and manage jobs. So we literally just have Ruby scripts with that extend the job builder with whatever the build needs to entail. Take a look at it. It has a bunch of built-ins. It is under active development by our build and deploy teams. And you should totally take a look, try it out. The job builder itself leverages a WebDriver factory that HMRC use internally, and it implements decorator on build jobs that essentially evokes this stub. Provides some parameters to the job, as you can see at the top. So if you were to kick this job off manually in Jenkins, you could choose to save the ZAP session. You could choose to have a drop-down selection of that fail-on severity. And you could pass in a alert filters file in JSON format, which would allow us to remove those false positives. It also has some steps built into it, like setting up pipenv for the client itself to run, and then executing those various steps. So either passing in a file like that alert filters JSON file as part of the build, or in the roots of the project that contains the tests, so it can be picked up from there, which has the exceptions, and also all the things that we do at the end, which involves grabbing the results, making sure that we collate all the data that we want, and make it available to the teams that have just run this build.
But with all that said, we're not done yet. So we still have a number of things that we wish to do, need to do. We have many services, lots of teams, lots of builds, lots more still to be integrated. And there's also many more plugins that we could leverage. And that's the good thing is it's easy to add them now. The teams that currently use ZAP do so based off the reports. So we're now making the whole session available to them. They'll need to know how to use that. And education. So continue with the rollout of the ASC to development teams across mdtp, so they're fully educated on how to use it and what the results actually mean. So we have one or two additions to make. More tests, so 411 lines of code to 1,497 lines of tests. Yes, we're obsessed enough to practice what we preach. More features, mainly in the job builder, and more coverage. So we're rolling this out as a workshop with teams to add it to their builds and to help them use ZAP to debug. But do you have any more suggestions for us?
And of course, Marcus and I are happy to continue the conversation. So please do reach out to us. You can find us on the Discord channels for ZAPCon. And of course, you can reach out to us on the connections details that we had at the start of this presentation, either on LinkedIn or via email. We're quite keen to see where we can take this further. And of course, we're going to be looking very closely at what Simon is doing with the new automation stuff within ZAP, and see how we can integrate that into more of our builds too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.